What if I told you that the exhaustion you feel every morning, the brain fog that follows you through the day, the weight that keeps creeping up no matter what you do, none of that is just getting older? What if I told you there's a very specific biological reason it's happening, and more importantly, a very specific way to stop it? Because today, we're talking about something that affects nearly every man over the age of 45, yet almost no one talks about it openly. The silent, steady drop in testosterone. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why it happens inside your body, what it's quietly doing to your health right now, and the proven practical steps you can take to actually reverse the decline. So stay with me, because what you learn here today could genuinely change the next chapter of your life. I'm Dr. Christine Rodriguez, and welcome to Men's Vitality Hub, the channel dedicated to helping men over 45 live longer, stronger, and with more energy than they ever thought possible at this stage of life. I spent over a decade working in hormonal health and men's medicine, and what I've seen again and again is this. Men suffer in silence because they think how they feel is just normal aging. It's not. And today, I'm going to show you exactly why. Let's start at the very beginning. Let's talk about what testosterone actually is, because most men know the word, but very few understand what this hormone is actually doing inside them every single day. Testosterone is a steroid hormone, and before you get the wrong idea, I don't mean that in the gym supplement sense. I mean it's a hormone that your body manufactures naturally, primarily in the testes, with a small contribution from the adrenal glands sitting right on top of your kidneys. It's produced through a brilliant chain of chemical signals that starts in your brain, specifically in a region called the hypothalamus, travels down to the pituitary gland, and then triggers the testes to produce testosterone. Scientists call this the HPT axis, the hypothalamic pituitary testicular axis. Think of it like a three-way phone call that your body makes every single day to keep your hormonal levels in check. Now here's where it gets deeply important. Testosterone doesn't just build muscle. Yes, it does that. But that's only one small part of what this hormone controls. Testosterone regulates your mood, your energy, your sleep quality, your focus, your libido, your bone density, your red blood cell production, your cardiovascular health, and even your insulin sensitivity. In other words, testosterone is connected to almost every system in your body that keeps you feeling like yourself. When it starts to drop, it doesn't just affect one thing. It quietly starts to unravel multiple systems at the same time, and that's exactly why the symptoms feel so confusing and so hard to pin down. So why does testosterone drop after 45? This is the question at the heart of everything, and the answer is more complex and more hopeful than most people realize. The primary reason is a process called Leydig cell aging. The Leydig cells are the specialized cells inside the testes responsible for producing testosterone. And like many things in the body, they don't work as efficiently as the decades pass. Research has shown that after the age of 30, testosterone levels decline at a rate of roughly 1 to 2% per year. By the time a man reaches 45, that can add up to a 15 to 30% drop from his peak levels. By 60, some men have lost nearly half their testosterone without ever being diagnosed or treated. But it's not just the Leydig cells. There's a second factor that most people never hear about, and it's arguably just as important. It's a protein called sex hormone binding globulin, or SHBG. Now, SHBG is a carrier protein in your blood. Its job is to bind to testosterone and transport it. The problem is that when testosterone is bound to SHBG, it becomes unavailable to your tissues. Your body can't use it. It's like having money locked in a safe that you've lost the combination to. As men age, SHBG levels tend to rise, which means that even if your total testosterone number looks okay on a blood test, your free testosterone, the testosterone your body can actually use, might be dangerously low. And then there's the third factor, aromatase. This is an enzyme that your fat cells produce, and its job is to convert testosterone into estrogen. The more body fat a man carries, particularly around the abdomen, the more aromatase is active and the faster testosterone gets converted away. This creates a vicious cycle. Low testosterone promotes fat storage. More fat increases aromatase activity, which lowers testosterone further, which promotes more fat storage. If you've noticed that belly fat has become harder and harder to shift after 45, this biological loop is a big reason why. Still with me? Good. Because what I'm about to share is where things start to get genuinely hopeful. But first, I want you to understand what long-term low testosterone actually does to your body, because many men dismiss the symptoms and push through. And that's a mistake that can have serious consequences years down the line. Let's talk about the cardiovascular connection. Testosterone plays a crucial role in maintaining the health of your blood vessels. It helps keep arterial walls flexible and supports healthy cholesterol metabolism. Studies have shown that men with chronically low testosterone have a significantly higher risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, and metabolic syndrome. One large-scale study published in the European Heart Journal found that low testosterone was independently associated with a 30% increase in cardiovascular mortality. That's not a small number. That's your heart paying the price for a hormonal imbalance that most doctors still don't routinely screen for. Then there's the bone connection. Most people think of osteoporosis as a women's disease. It is not. After 45, men with low testosterone start losing bone density at an accelerating rate. The skeleton becomes more brittle, fracture risk increases, and the slow architectural breakdown of bone happens silently. You don't feel it until something breaks. Testosterone stimulates the osteoblasts, the cells responsible for building new bone tissue. Without adequate testosterone, the bone-building process slows down while bone breakdown continues at its normal pace. The result is a net loss of bone density year after year. And then there's the brain. This is the one that catches most men completely off guard. Testosterone receptors are found throughout the brain, particularly in regions associated with mood regulation, memory, and executive function. Low testosterone has been directly linked to increased rates of depression, anxiety, cognitive decline, and even a higher risk of Alzheimer's disease. Imagine this. You're sitting at your desk trying to remember a name, a date, something simple, and the word just won't come. Or you wake up after 7 hours of sleep feeling completely unrested, or you find yourself irritable, short-tempered, emotionally flat in ways that don't feel like you. These aren't personality flaws. These are biological symptoms of a hormone your brain desperately needs. I want to pause here for a moment because something important needs to be said. If any of what I've described sounds familiar, if you've been feeling this way and wondering if it's just part of getting older, please hear me clearly. It is not inevitable. These changes are real, they are measurable, and many of them are reversible. The body has a remarkable capacity to respond when you give it what it needs. So let's talk about what you can actually do. Because information without action is just anxiety, and that's not why we're here. The first and most foundational thing you can do is address your sleep. I know you've heard this before, but I want to explain the hormonal mechanism so you understand why sleep isn't optional when it comes to testosterone. The majority of your daily testosterone is produced during deep sleep, specifically during the stages of slow wave and REM sleep. Studies have shown that restricting sleep to 5 hours per night for just 1 week can reduce testosterone levels in healthy young men by 10 to 15%. For a man over 45 who's already operating at a lower baseline, that kind of sleep debt is genuinely dangerous. Prioritizing 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep isn't a lifestyle luxury. It is hormone therapy in its most natural form. The second pillar is exercise, but not just any exercise. The most testosterone-stimulating form of physical activity is resistance training, particularly compound movements that engage large muscle groups. Squats, deadlifts, bench press, rows. These movements trigger a significant acute hormonal response in the body. Research consistently shows that men who engage in regular resistance training maintain higher testosterone levels than sedentary men of the same age. And here's what's interesting. You don't need to spend hours in the gym. Studies suggest that 45 to 60 minutes of high-intensity resistance training, 3 to 4 times per week, is the sweet spot for hormonal optimization. More than that can actually raise cortisol, the stress hormone, which competes directly with testosterone. Speaking of cortisol, chronic stress is one of the most underestimated testosterone killers in modern life. The relationship between cortisol and testosterone is what scientists call antagonistic. When one goes up, the other tends to go down. Cortisol is produced by the adrenal glands in response to stress, and in small doses, it's completely healthy and necessary. But when stress becomes chronic, when your nervous system is in a constant low-grade state of alarm, cortisol stays elevated, and testosterone production gets suppressed. Your body, from an evolutionary perspective, prioritizes survival over reproduction. High stress signals danger, and in a state of perceived danger, the body doesn't waste resources on testosterone production. Managing stress isn't about being soft, it's about protecting your hormonal foundation. Now let's talk about nutrition, because what you eat has a direct and measurable impact on testosterone production. The first thing to understand is that testosterone is made from cholesterol. I know that word carries a lot of negative baggage, but the truth is that dietary fat, particularly saturated fat and monounsaturated fat, is essential for testosterone synthesis. Studies have found that men who follow very low-fat diets tend to have lower testosterone levels than men who include adequate healthy fats in their diet. Foods like eggs, fatty fish, olive oil, avocados, and moderate amounts of red meat provide the raw materials your Leydig cells need to manufacture testosterone. Zinc is another critical nutrient. It's involved in the enzymatic processes that produce testosterone, and it also inhibits the aromatase enzyme, the one that converts testosterone into estrogen. Men who are deficient in zinc show significantly lower testosterone levels, and supplementing zinc in deficient men has been shown to raise testosterone meaningfully. You'll find zinc in oysters, beef, pumpkin seeds, and legumes. If you're not getting enough through diet, a zinc supplement is one of the most evidence-backed micronutrient interventions for male hormonal health. Vitamin D is equally important, and the majority of men over 45 are deficient in it, especially if you live in a northern climate or spend most of your time indoors. Vitamin D functions more like a hormone than a vitamin in the body, and it directly stimulates testosterone production. A study published in the journal Hormone and Metabolic Research found that men who supplemented with vitamin D for 1 year had significantly higher testosterone levels than those who took a placebo. Get your levels tested. If you're below optimal, supplementing with 2,000 to 4,000 IU of vitamin D3 daily and along with vitamin K2 for proper absorption can make a real difference. Let's also address alcohol, because this is a conversation that many men would rather skip, but it matters too much to ignore. Alcohol directly suppresses testosterone production in multiple ways. It impairs the function of the Leydig cells, raises cortisol, disrupts sleep architecture, particularly the deep sleep stages where testosterone is produced, and promotes the conversion of testosterone to estrogen in the liver. Moderate drinking, 1 to 2 drinks per day, has a measurable negative effect on testosterone over time. I'm not here to tell you to never enjoy a drink, but if optimizing your hormonal health is a genuine priority, reducing alcohol consumption is one of the highest leverage changes you can make. Now, I want to address something that comes up constantly when men start learning about testosterone, and that's the question of testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT. I want to give you an honest, balanced picture here because the internet is full of both overclaiming and fear-mongering on this topic. TRT is a medically supervised treatment in which testosterone is administered through injections, gels, patches, or pellets to bring levels back into a healthy physiological range. For men with clinically low testosterone who have tried lifestyle interventions without adequate results, TRT can be genuinely life-changing. It can restore energy, improve body composition, sharpen cognition, restore libido, and significantly improve quality of life. The research on its cardiovascular safety has evolved considerably in recent years, and the 2023 Traverse trial, one of the largest cardiovascular safety studies on TRT ever conducted, found that testosterone therapy did not increase the risk of cardiovascular events in men with hypogonadism and pre-existing cardiovascular risk factors. That said, TRT is not a magic pill, and it's not right for everyone. It requires proper medical evaluation, ongoing monitoring of hormone levels, red blood cell counts, and prostate health. It can affect fertility by suppressing sperm production, and it works best when combined with the lifestyle foundations we've already discussed, not as a replacement for them. If you think TRT might be right for you, the conversation starts with a comprehensive blood panel and an honest discussion with a physician who specializes in hormonal health. Still here? Good. Because what I'm about to share pulls everything together. The truth about testosterone after 45 is this: the decline is real, but it is not your destiny. Your body is not betraying you. It is responding to inputs, to sleep deprivation, to chronic stress, to nutritional deficiencies, to sedentary patterns that have accumulated over decades of a demanding life. And just as those inputs drove the decline, different inputs can drive a recovery. The man who prioritizes deep, consistent sleep is rebuilding his hormonal foundation every single night. The man who lifts weights 3 times a week is sending a powerful anabolic signal to his body every single session. The man who manages his stress, eats foods that support testosterone production, gets his vitamin D and zinc, limits his alcohol, and stays engaged with his health. That man is aging on very different terms than the one who simply accepts the decline as inevitable. The strongest version of you is still waiting to be built. You don't get the body and the life you want by accident at 45. You get it by making deliberate, informed choices, day after day, about how you treat the only body you'll ever have. Your vitality is not behind you. It's waiting for you to reclaim it. If this video gave you even one insight that shifts how you think about your hormonal health, do something for me. Hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it helps this information reach more men who are quietly struggling and don't yet know that things can be different. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Men's Vitality Hub. Every week, I bring you evidence-based, practical information designed specifically for men navigating the second half of life with strength, clarity, and purpose. Before you go, I want to leave you with a question, and I'd love for you to answer it in the comments below. What's the one symptom from this video that hit closest to home for you? Was it the fatigue, the brain fog, the change in body composition? Tell me below. Your answer might help another man in this community recognize what he's been going through. We're all in this together. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.